Let's talk about Kundalini. It's one of those mystical, esoteric things that can happen to you. And there's a lot of myths out there about it. A lot of people claim to have had it. And if you get the real McCoy, it's outright dangerous. I have people asking me all the time about it and that they're trying to, activate it and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to cover various topics with Kundalini. Firstly, I'm Jason at awakendessence.com. Now, in terms of this framework here, you can reach enlightenment phase 3 in the awakening journey, abiding presence, in less than 5 years, if you follow the 9-pillar framework using correct presence practice, which is pillar 1 for that reason. Pillar 2 includes all of you, so yeah, if your Kundalini comes up, then you're going to have to deal with it. And deal with it you will have to if it happens. So it's the Shakti energy from the base of the spine, or the root chakra, be that your perineum, your tailbone, your sacrum, or wherever. Everybody's versions of where the root chakra is different. That travels up your Sushumna. Left and right channels. And, the goal with it is to raise it. Perfect timing. Without screaming, raise it out the top of your head. Actually, thank you, bird. When I had my first belt of it, I'd been at a workshop and had some sort of channeling spiritual lady having us blokes do certain activities. So in this group, mine activated at the end of this 3-day workshop, residential workshop, and it started coming through me. I had no idea what the hell it was, but she knew, and she said, move it up. So I did. I didn't quite follow the instructions. She was asking us males to do certain sort of tones and screams and all that sort of stuff, because she was more of a feminist type teacher, so it was all about men being bad and what they've done to females. So I screamed it out. Bad move. I'll get back to that later. Anyway, so it's something that raises up. It happens spontaneously. You don't really have any control over it if it's the real McCoy, because as they say, it's depicted in the Hindu pictures with the deities, Shiva, Narayana, Narayani, Lakshmi, Durga, all those guys, where the cobra comes out over the head, which symbolises the crown and everything, and it's come up and up to God. So that means your feminine Shakti energies are activated. Correct presence practice doesn't require your Kundalini to raise, because here it's about you mastering your habits, your unconscious mind, and presence is enough. It will give you access to the divine. That will give you access to the divine, and you can consciously be here with whatever's going on, Kundalini or not. So you can live this life and deepen into the later phases of awakening. If ingredient 1, that's what you want, and that's what you're going to do about it with your structures, correct presence practice. In terms of this framework here, if your Kundalini does arise, step 1 of pillar 1 of correct presence practice is to be in your body. Now that opens your neurology, and I've said this in many videos, and this Kundalini video is a long way into these videos right now. If you're doing your correct presence practice, your neurology is opening up, and as I say, so you can handle the wattage, you can handle the bandwidth, i.e. the voltage of your presence, and the divine. Now the divine has a lot more wattage than your Kundalini. That's God. God makes stars and black holes and universes, so do the maths. Infinity versus, a couple of thousand watts or gigawatts. Kundalini is a very serious energy. this is really, really important that you grasp this, because if people are telling you, oh, we'll do this and we'll do that and we'll activate your Kundalini, I would suggest you put your shoes on and run really fast, unless they're at like phase 15 of the awakening journey, which I can't even talk about because I don't know what that is yet because I'm not there. It's very, very dangerous stuff. That was Tangles, the bird that nearly died here, and we got him rescued and his foot fell off. I mean, this is the thing. This is half the reason I do all these videos with these birds. One, it's chaos. Two, I have to be present. Three, you know, it's a demonstration. So this is why I do this with the birds. You know, they add to this with the fact that it's demonstrating I'm in that sort of expanded space where they feel safe. Yeah, it adds in noise and chaos, but when you're doing your correct presence practice correctly, you develop an attention span. You will, because you can't be abiding or deeply matured in abidance if you have zero attention span. That means you can only watch TikTok because you got 10 seconds of attention. Oh boy, and if you have Kundalini, oh, you really need focus, you really need attention, and to be, oh gosh, the capacity to hold extreme events. Because I'll tell you about some of my experiences with it shortly. Are you trying to plait my hair, eh? So if the Kundalini is real, so Kundalini is dangerous. And I'm going to use some metaphors here, and I'm going to talk in terms of voltages. So the average unconscious, got it, lost it, phase 1 person might be, say, 6 volts. Because they haven't had awakenings, they haven't developed their focus capacity, their attention span, and not very grounded. So if you're not very grounded, then your energy systems in your body aren't very well developed. Got another bird biting my phone. I'll explain Kundalini in terms of voltages. So for the average person and the average seeker that's just doing their spiritual practices as a mind process and they're not grounded, you're running on roughly, say, 6 volts. You know, you're a wire that can take 6 volts. If you're doing correct presence practice correctly, which is what I talk about in all the other videos where I don't mention much in the way of spiritual esoteric stuff. So Kundalini is an esoteric body experience, and that's where you're an aspect of your Shakti energy, your female energy that's stored at the base of the spine or in your root chakra, which might be in your perineum or in your tailbone or in your sacrum, or, you know, L5 in terms of anatomy. It really doesn't matter. Everybody has different views, different systems, be it Taoist, the Indian stuff, or Palladian stuff, or whoever, you know, they all put it in different places. So where is it for you? You know, when it fires up, you'll know all about it. So it activates and it starts coming up your Sushumna. So that's the twin snake thing on the medical badges. It goes around your chakras, or sort of. I mean, dimensionally speaking, they might not even be at the same dimensional level. So to say this is there and that's there is all kind of moot, because at the non-dimensional levels, can be anywhere. I mean, your soul star, who's to say it's 6 inches to a foot above your head? Because it's outside the 3rd time-space dimension, and where the soul star is way beyond the 3rd, 4th and 5th dimensions. So distance is irrelevant. Not many people seem to well, I haven't seen anybody mention it, quite frankly, but that's how the dimensions work. And when you experience them enough, under the rules of evidence, ingredient 3 evidence, that will be the experience. So it makes stuff confusing. That's why I like to stick it to evidence here in life, in your body. In the Advanced Awakening page, I talk about all sorts of stuff, and I say, you know, I told those guys to buzz off because I was blazed out in the transpersonal place. And I needed to be a lot more grounded to function as a rock-solid human being in normal society. You know, just at phase 4, matured abidance. Although I could still transpersonal while I was in the corporate office, while my energy bodies were taking out 3 floors in the skyscraper. You know, I mean, I had so many people inside of me. Energetically, that's what was happening. Bandwidth. Some spiritual teachers, when I'm heading off to see them, I can feel them from 150 kilometres away. When Armour the Hugging Saint was in town, and I went to see her last, or every time I've gone to see her, you know, I can sense her about 80 k's away. I can. I go into resonance with her. Same with Sadhguru and other teachers I've met. I can tell when they're in the building, like, you know, the town hall or the big speaking auditorium. I know when they turn up because their bandwidth is so big. Their transpersonal bodies, transpersonal Merkaba, not your personal one that most spiritual esoteric teachings talk about. That's just the you one. That's part of yourself, your individual Merkaba. But when you get far enough down the track, you have the transpersonal Merkaba activated. Which is what happened to me in front of these amazing teachers, Armour the Hugging Saint and Shakti Amanarayani. And right? There's always more. Pillar 7. So the dimensions and energies and all sorts of stuff isn't linear like we like to think it is, because we're 3-dimensional beings that are stuck in time. Yes, time exists, and this Kundalini energy is not 3rd-dimensional at all. But when it activates, gosh, it's got some power. So mine fired up. I screamed it out because I was in this workshop. So what happened after that? Oh, I lost my voice for 5 days. I'll mention this again when I talk about chronic health conditions, because I screamed it out. Where is that? It didn't go out. It's really powerful stuff. Like when it was moving up, if I stopped, it just sat there and spun like a tumbleweed in the Western movies. A little thread of the Kundalini energy, I could. The next few days, I did actually manage to consciously activate it, but I was a lot more careful, and it didn't activate as strongly as it did when it just happened. But I was able to move it up, and I was really trying to move what had been in my face out my crown. So it's something that if you've been practicing your correct presence practice for a while, you may have some capacity to hold your focus and move that sort of stuff down without freaking out. Oh yeah, so that's the other thing with it, eh? So you move it up and out. Now back to the 6-volt metaphor. Sorry, I'm bouncing around. Kundalini, roughly speaking, is about 5 megawatts. Okay, as a metaphor, 5 megawatts. What did I just say? The average normal person, or person that, you know, has got into the spiritual journey and they're ungrounded and they do their spiritual practice from their head with no presence practice at all, 6 volts. Well, what happens if you put 5 megawatts through a 6-volt wire? It glows very, very bright and it melts and then it breaks. It fuses. Can you imagine what that does to the human body? This is why I say don't chase it. This is why I say correct presence practice is pillar 1. I don't say Kundalini's pillar 1. Hello, Tangles! Oh, this is a gift. This is Tangles. He's lost a foot. He nearly lost a toe on the... That's not even attached. That's going to fall off, mate. And this might be the first time... This is the first time he's been on the bench. Tangles! And this is going to be the first time he eats out of my hand. This is grace. This is an act of grace. Oh, and I want to cry. This darling little baby bird. Come on, Tangles. Yep, it's okay, mate. Come on. Yeah. Tangles is an example of what can happen with Kundalini. He was losing his feet because it was restricted by flying. He did lose a feet, and that toe there is about to fall off. Is that hurting, mate? Hey, Tangles? Yeah, that toe's not even attached. So, if you force Kundalini, your 6-volt wire is going to have 5 megawatts go through it, and your body will start resembling Tangles' foot that's about to fall off. Well, his toe, and he's already lost a foot. Does that metaphor grab you in terms of please don't chase Kundalini? If you are chasing Kundalini, you need to find a real master, a really super advanced master who knows exactly what they're talking about. And when you get within 20 kilometres of these people, you should be able to feel them because of their bandwidth, their energetic city, their spiritual pipe I talk about in the bandwidth page. This is the implications of having 5 megawatts of energy go through your physical wiring and your esoteric wiring. As I say in all of the videos, your awakening, your ascension comes down because what's this? It's a physical 3D body with nerves, DNA. It has spiritual things coming off the DNA called light fibers. There's only one other person I've heard of that even talks about light fibers, although I've been taught about it for 20 years. All of you is connected to God. It's not just your Sushumna and raising your Kundalini. It's not. No, this is such a serious topic, but spiritual people like chasing concepts and nice ideas and, oh, when my Kundalini raises, I'll be enlightened. You won't. You won't. And I'll explain why as we work through this video. So with your correct presence practice, you're grounding yourself in your body, learning to be here, holding your emotions. What's the wattage of an emotion? What's the wattage of, say, rage and anger? 100 watts? Like, you get red hot, right? Oh, Mr. Serious Voice wants to come out. So that's the heart brain in the child language for, yeah, I wanna speak from the first ray energies, i.e. thy will, the divine will. Tangles, oh, you got bullied. So anger is a hot energy, right? So that's why people go red in the face, your capillaries open and all that sort of stuff, you know? Anger is related to the liver. Anger, liver. What's in the word liver? Take off the R, what's the word? Live. It's the only organ in the body that regenerates. So if you can't hold presence with your strong emotions, i.e. anger, rage, terror, fear, I'd have to ask the question, how are you going to contain 5 megawatts going through your body? What's the answer your head gave you? I'll ask the question again. This is how serious I want you to take it. If you can't hold rage and anger and be fully grounded in your body, fully in presence, able to be here, are you going to be able to handle 5 megawatts going through your body? Have you had an electric shock? 12 volts? That's fairly low wattage. I've been electrocuted with 230 volts. That's quite unpleasant. I've had that a few times. And yeah, it can kill you if it goes across your heart because of the electrics, right? So 230 volts, yeah, the human body can cope with it, but it can short out the heart, hence, you know, it kills people. People can be hit by lightning And they survive because it doesn't short out the heart nerves, because it goes around the body. And people that work on power lines, one of the sort of safety protocol they may be wearing is they wear a steel mesh suit. So, you know, if they do have 11,000 volts somehow travel through them, the lightning goes through the suit and around their body, yeah, and they might get surface burns on their skin, but it won't go through their internals and burn out their organs and short their heart and they die. So, you know, Kundalini is a type of electricity. It's the Shakti energy. Mother Earth energy, you could say. Right? So in terms of the electricity metaphor, this is why Kundalini is dangerous, because when that 5 megawatts fires up, it'll do what it's going to do. And what you do with your consciousness with it can determine the outcomes. So I've already shared that when it first started happening to me, it was actually quite pleasant. There's different types of Kundalini. I'm going to speak about that. The pleasant one was the first one, the second one, the third one, perhaps the fourth one. The first one was probably one of the bigger ones until these next ones happen that I'll share with later. And I was able to move it around. Well, I followed the lady's instructions and she said move it up, because it had got to my tummy by then, and I vented it out my mouth, and the energy got stuck there, and I'm suffering the consequences of that now with sinusitis, rotting face, because that sort of spiritual energy lodged in my teeth. There's more to this story. So I'll ask you again, are you chasing Kundalini? I talked to someone 2 weeks ago that was saying, oh, I'm chasing this Kundalini. I said, no, don't. I tell everybody that, don't. And this person's remarkably ungrounded, so he would be in a lot of trouble if it happened. And he doesn't have the concentration span to deal with it. And those other times where it activated with me, I was able to direct it because it was pleasant. If it's a nice one, yeah, you can probably move it around. But if it's not the nice ones, whew. So are you chasing Kundalini? Have you been practicing correct presence practice, or are you a very grounded, have a lot of mental clarity and stillness yoga practitioner who spends a lot of time practicing and can go into extreme bendy shapes where your body's screaming in pain and you can just hold it, which is what presence is, eh? So in terms of chronic health conditions, which will be in a different video, but you know, I had chronic lumbar pain for 7 years. It would cycle, so 3.5 years of that, I was kind of okay, but 3.5 years of the lumbar spine pain, sciatica and all that sort of stuff, feeling like I was having a knife shoved in my back. If you can't handle that, then don't chase Kundalini. I'll ask you again, are you still chasing Kundalini, or are you going to prepare yourself for if it happens? Again, in the advanced phase 5 plus video where I'm sitting here, because there's 2 of them on the website now and on the YouTube channel. I say in that video that, you know, as your bandwidth increases, and I use the word wattage, it grows. And the fastest way for you to prepare yourself is Pillar 1 correct presence practice, where you're not fluffing around with your energy systems. You are not trying to raise the Kundalini. So yeah, if you've got a proper Kundalini master who's, I don't know, probably phase 12, I only talk about the first 6 here because they're my experience. So if it's just a normal yoga teacher who isn't even phase 3 and they're saying, oh, we'll do Kundalini yoga, well, they're not really doing proper Kundalini. They're just doing what they think it is. They're just doing the mental practices. Because it's not 5 megawatts, if you catch my drift. They won't have the bandwidth capacity to be sensitive to it and to be able to manage it, and especially if they're working with other people and they're helping them to actually raise it. So I'd be very surprised. I don't know, I've never met a Kundalini master. It'd be very, very interesting. If you are one, please call me. Did you see that? How that parrot flew over the top of my head and landed on my back? That's God speaking. And then he lands up and they're playing with my hair. They've never done that before. No. Mother Earth talks through the animals. My videos show this all the time. So, safety announcement. This is Kundalini Airways. Please strap yourself in, because we're going to go to hell and back. And you might experience that. So once your bandwidth is capable of handling that sort of energy and the Kundalini comes up, you'll be able to consciously direct it. And you probably will need to consciously direct it, because I'm going to tell you about the next experience that happened with me. So the first time it raised for me was 1996, and it happened about 4 or 5 times. 95. Yeah, it might have been 95, and then 96. Note the dates. 95 and 96. So being a spiritual seeker who had no idea what the word presence meant I did the typical seeker thing. I had my badge. Oh, I've had Kundalini. I'm enlightened, man. Yeah, I'd had that esoteric experience. Was I awake? Completely and utterly. Phase 1, got it, lost it, just being a seeker, not knowing what presence was. Yeah, be in the moment, man. Just be here, man. Be present, man. Nah, I was floating out past Pluto. And the Kundalini certainly didn't help that, metaphorically speaking. So the next one was early 96, about March, I think. So I was asleep. And I kind of came conscious because I could hear my atoms boiling. What is atoms? What does the atoms in your cells sound like when they're boiling? Have you ever heard hail on a tin roof? That's what it sounded like. So I was asleep and it was firing up while I was asleep. Oh, jeepers. What the hell's this racket? Holy crap. And it was coming up. And then when it hit here where I'd vented it the first time, oh Jesus, I went into absolute terror because it was so powerful. And in that state of consciousness, I was immobilized, I couldn't move. I felt my teeth explode like popcorn. Have you ever snapped a bone? I've snapped 4 bones. That's why I say when you're deeply matured, you can snap bones and you still hold the divine, and you can still hold presence in that sort of excruciating pain. I'm dead serious that the outcomes of the phases have measurable outcomes. They may be hard to speak about, and for people that haven't lived it, like I can't talk about phase 7 abiding transpersonal because I'm not there yet. Hello Tangles. See, Tangles is back. I reckon that toe's going to fall off in the next week, mate. You going to come over? Oh, the cockatoos are going to annoy him. You're making my jacket dirty, boys and girls. Here you go, Tangles. Oh, you're going to have to stop being a wimp. So there I was, laying in bed. I was unable to move, but I was definitely very conscious because I could feel my atoms boiling. It was like a wave. You know how the sea comes in, it goes... But it was as loud as my ear being next to a tin roof with hailstones coming down and smacking the tin. That was what it sounded like that time. And I felt my teeth explode. Oh Jesus. Then a second wave came along. Oh my Lord. more pain. Then I realised, oh, this is Kundalini. Okay, well, I thought I was going to experience pain, and I got to experience my teeth exploding. Now do you understand my metaphor of 5 megawatts? How much energy would it take to disintegrate your teeth? How much energy does it take? How much electricity would you need to put through your teeth and your mouth to explode your face? Can you handle that sort of energy? Safety announcement, are you still chasing Kundalini? If you are, Pillar 1, correct presence practice course, Laws of Grace, coaching in the Mastery Club. Then if it ever happens, you'll be ready, because you'll be moving into the awakening phases, and you'll be developing your attention span because you are doing correct presence practice, Pillar 1 in the framework, and you're doing the work. You're developing your structures so your bandwidth increases and you're becoming grounded, and you're activating your neurology and your focus and your capacity to work with energy and hold really horrible stuff in presence. Teeth exploding. That's all right. There's another type of Kundalini I'm going to talk about that even makes that feel like tickling a feather, or being tickled by a feather. You notice he's still there. You can't do that. Normal people can't do that to these birds, because I'm transpersonal with them. There you go, darling. Go on, Tangles. Can you handle the pain of experiencing something like your teeth exploding with electricity while your atoms are boiling and it sounds like hail hitting a tin roof? That's real Kundalini. I've had many people say, oh, well, I was feeling this energy and it was moving around my body, it must be Kundalini. No, that's just cool phenomena, and you may just be creating it with your mental body, because I did that for 12 years. Well, I could generate exquisite bliss for months at a time, because I'd trained myself to generate that sort of stuff. You can generate it with your head, so therefore it's mental body and it's not real. Or you may access your bliss body, which is the esoteric structure around your higher mental body, your higher self body, which is golden, i.e. golden ray. The gold ray energy is all through your body. It comes off the light fibers off your DNA. That's why I teach golden ray. That's why the Hindu deities taught me all about it after I came back from India, and I was inside Lakshmi for 9 months. What did I say about Tangles? What did he just do? I've never had a bird hover over me like that. That's God speaking. The only reason that little bird's alive is because of me. It took 3 goes for the rescue people to catch him. Today's the first time he's ever eaten out of my hand since, well, January or February. So this is grace. That's God. That's Mother Earth saying, hey, this is important. You've got to read the signs, eh? That's why I work with the birds and the koalas and the roos. And there's a video in the Correct Presence Practice course in the Laws of Grace and the student ones. And I think it's probably in the Reiki and Golden Ray ones as well, where a wild robin hangs out with me for a full hour. And I call it in, it flies away. I say, come back, and it's back within 5 seconds. It's astounding. So, read the signs. Amazing. In the phase 4 video, was it the phase 4? I had little corellas landing on me, eating out of my hand for the first time. Perfect timing. So, yeah, coincidences. And the long-billed corella, what colours are on it? Red. What's the root chakra? Red. And here goes a police helicopter. Love it. Be it a human interaction or nature, it's just astounding what happens in these videos. So I was in bed, I couldn't move. I'd had 2 to 3 waves of obviously my atoms boiling, had my teeth exposed. Because I was immobilised, I couldn't move my tongue. Could you imagine what that's like? Have you ever thought about what it would be like being in a surgery and you're under general anaesthetic and they've cut you open and they're slicing away and the anaesthetic, you're actually conscious and feeling it? That wouldn't be fun, would it? Exactly. So I clicked that it was Kundalini. Hey. So another wave started coming, so that's right, I gotta bring it up, Is that you, Tangles? It is. He nearly landed on my shoulder. So Mother Earth's talking to you guys. Because when special events like this happen with nature that's unexplainable, it's got something to do with your presence and grace. Thy will is speaking. Can you help keep the birds a little bit more calm so I can finish the video, please? You have to ask, eh? You have to ask. Let's translate that to the 3 ingredient overview. What do you want? What are you doing about it? i.e., what are you asking for? And are you open and willing to make it happen? Then the GOD and the GOD physical female aspect, the earth, can help provide. So as that 3rd wave came through, I sort of moved it up. Yeah, it still hurt, but perfect. Not as much as the first 2 waves where I had my teeth explode. Then the next few waves came through. Yeah, I sort of moved it up to, my 3rd eye, my pineal gland. Yeah, that one started feeling nice. I was back to getting into the nice stuff. Then a few more waves through, moved it up through the rest of my head, through my skull and out my crown. And then it just kind of died off because I put it out my crown. But a lot of that energy was still lodged in my face, especially after having my teeth explode. So then I was actually able to move my tongue. And could you imagine the relief? Oh shit, they're still there. Sorry for dropping the S-bomb. But the relief of knowing that my teeth were still there was quite fantastic. Yeah, that was certainly a relief, eh? About as much as the relief when I got hit by the car, taken 20 metres, dumped on the ground and I couldn't breathe, and I instantaneously went into presence and aspects of the divine whilst I was on the road, unable to breathe because I'd been winded, and I was doing my correct presence practice. So I was in my body so I could check to see if I could move me toes, because my best buddy had C6 and C7 smashed in a car accident, and he's a tetraplegic, and it's not a fun life. So it's good to have a working spine. So I was ready for that when I got hit by that car. It was a test. You will get tested, eh? So, if you want all these extra levels of enlightenment, you better brace yourself. It's not just everything's peace, love and mung beans. You will be tested. You are always tested. That's how you pass the test. You pass the test by holding presence, if not the divine yum-yum, step before God at the same time. So I may have had a couple of other little bouts of Kundalini after that. And then it kind of went quiet. And then the next round started. Oh, Jesus. For this type of Kundalini, I can only describe it as, again, I was asleep, but in the dream I became very, very conscious, and it's just like, it's coming. Oh, jeep. This particular type was very instant, and it went through every cell in my body. It went through every cell in my body. It was the voltage of the universe. So I jumped from 5 megawatts to 5 gigawatts. Can you imagine what it's like having the universe pass through every atom of your body? Sorry, bird, I'm going to have to get rid of you because I want to show something. So an atom is made up of a nucleus, right? And out here, there's a whole lot of nothingness, and then there's the electrons spinning around the atom, right? So that's what an atom is, and depending on how many electrons and what's in here will give you the element number. So helium is helium number 1, or is it hydrogen? Hydrogen, helium, they're the first two. So they're a lot lighter, right? So in the periodic table, number 1 has 1 electron, right? If you had the entire universe, the energy, the voltage of the entire universe passing between the nucleus of the atom and the rotating electron. It was like that. Oh man. It made the teeth popping like popcorn minuscule. Made bones snapping feel like this. Yeah. See, I just totally violated his fight, flight, and he did nothing. That's whispering. Yeah, I had that one a few times. That's not nice. I don't ever want that one again. Now, what phase of the awakening journey was I in with that one? So, all that sort of stuff happened in 97, 98, 99. Pain off the scale. Absolutely off the scale. It'd be like being put in a vat of boiling oil as a human being and then breathing that into your lungs. I mean, that's the sort of pain it would be like. Excruciating off the charts. Do you still want to chase Kundalini? Because that's the real stuff, not just, oh, I've got this nice feeling happening. I mean, you can do all the tantric sexual stuff. Yeah, that's doable. But it's not Kundalini. And that's sexual energy. And yes, Kundalini is sexual energy as well, according to all the books. But under the 9-pillar framework and the 4-ingredient overview, I'm speaking from here. Evidence, my evidence, and evidence from people I've spoken to. So what were the consequences of Kundalini for me? Apart from the extreme pain when it happened, there was no real consequences until later in life. So I've just had a second round. More great timing. I've just had a second round of surgery in here 3 weeks ago because of the energy in my face and my teeth and that stuckness. And it did. They cleared out rotting snot out of my sinus, and my clarity's increased, and that's why these birds will now let me grab me, and let me grab them, and they won't even complain. Well, what was the change? I didn't have another awakening, just toxic snot was taken out of my system that was stressing my entire body, including my liver. I've still got to get my teeth finished. You are a human being, you need to look after this bag of meat because it affects everything. I can't believe the difference just from having something, just 10 mils of rotting snot taken out of my left sinus. Unbelievable. Instantaneous, post-op, it was just clarity, because everything fogged out a wee bit because of physical symptoms. So Kundalini hits your systems and does things, it burns out stuff. Yeah, you burn out a tooth nerve, you need a root canal. If you don't get that sorted because you need to go to the dentist, then it rots out your face. That's just physics, that's just science, that's just pillar 9 common sense. Assuming you can afford it, the root canals are not cheap. I'll get into that in the chronic health issues and how it can help, So what were the outcomes of all that Kundalini? Did it mean I was enlightened? Yeah, I was wearing the Enlightenment badge. Was I? Nah. totally got it, lost it. Phase 1, didn't even know how to be present. Wasn't even grounded. So phase 3, you know, phase 2 and phase 3 didn't happen until a decade later. Oh yeah, I've had the Kundalini thing coming out my heart as well. That put me in a state of heart bliss for like 6 months until I crashed out of it, went to my head. Because I was a thinker, I wasn't practicing presence. And I lost it. It's absolutely heartbreaking to lose a good awakening if you don't know how to do correct presence practice, and that's what happened to me. Hence, 5 years or less if you know what you want and you're prepared to do what it takes. That's the Laws of Grace course. You'll get the maths and that'll give you an idea of how much you need to do to reset your neurology. Yeah, it's only kind of pointers and indicators at the moment, because maybe once 1,000 people have been through it, I'll be able to give you some statistics on how long it takes for the average person to reset their unconscious mind, open up their neurology so they can handle the 5 megawatts. Catch my drift. So, other people. Now, I've met a number of people that have had some very serious Kundalini, and if you listen to enough of Adyashanti's stuff and things like that, there are a lot of people that ask him about Kundalini, and yeah, he says the same thing. It burns you out. You need to get health. You need to get supportive medicine. You need to do things to settle your nerves and settle your energies. Well, what settles you? Pillar 1, correct presence practice, being in your body, being aware of your inner body so your emotions flow through instead of stressing you out and creating more physical conditions. This is why Pillar 1 is correct presence practice for a reason. Sorry if I say it so much, but you will need to hear this 1,000,000 times to reset your unconscious mind, because all of your life plus the 9 months in the womb, you've heard everything else that's just rubbish. What's the evidence? Pillar 3, ingredient 3. I've met a number of teachers and gurus that have had Kundalini come through, and they are simply not phase 3 abiding. Yeah, they can have Siddhi. Kundalini can activate Siddhi. Siddhi being spiritual powers, spiritual energy. And if you want to meet someone who has quite a, I wanted to use a swear word, bleep ton of energy, go and get yourself around Bill Clinton. He's not enlightened, but boy, he cranks. I've met lots of spiritual teachers and gurus that have 20% of the energy that he has. His bandwidth is fantastic. Well, at least that's my ingredient 3, pillar 3 evidence. When I got to see him in 1999, about 2 weeks after I got within 3 metres of the Dalai Lama, who also visited Christchurch at that time. Yeah, big difference. So this is where evidence and grounding it is really important, as opposed to spiritual theories that everybody likes. We have a global thing happening at the moment. There obviously is, 100 million people that think that blowing up hospitals with bombs is a really cool thing for their country. They solidly believe that. Hence why I do war when it comes to vague statements and vague teachings and vague theories and one sentence means. Here we go, red. The fighter has arrived. Be specific, be measurable, and what's the evidence? You prepare your structures for Kundalini, correct presence practice and all the stuff that goes with it. You'll be ready for when it happens, if it happens, but you can get into phase 3, probably even phase 4, without Kundalini. And it's safer. So, you know, there's one person I know, she had quite a massive bout of Kundalini, and yeah, lots of pain all through her body. Yeah, it opened up her third eye. Boy, she'd walk into her kitchen and a tablecloth would start talking to her. I mean, so much spiritual astral phenomena was happening to her. You know, it was just a total distraction. Why would you want to talk to some sort of spiritual entity that's embodied inside a tablecloth, for God's sake? I mean, you know, she could talk to all sorts of stuff, but that's not awakening, that's phenomena. What do you want? What you're doing about it? If you want to be awake, focus on awakening. So, you know, you would have heard me say many times, I said it in the overview videos actually, after 15 years of the spiritual hoo-has, Kundalini and all that sort of stuff, yeah, I had all those sorts of spiritual experiences. I could fill an encyclopedia with the sort of stuff I've experienced, but it didn't awaken me. Correct presence practice did, in terms of the definitions here in this website. That's my evidence, and I've talked to lots of people that have been damaged by it, and some people get burnt out and it lasts the lifetime, you know. Ongoing suffering until you drop dead. Suffering, well, pain. Suffering's mentally created, but yeah, pain and disabilities, and it's no fun. I'm sorry if I'm smashing your illusions. I'm sure if you really want your illusions, you'll forget everything that's said in this video, because that's how we work. That's pillar 8 blind spot. And I have met teachers that have a lot of city, just like Bill Clinton does, that aren't abiding in presence. If you want spiritual stuff, you want spiritual phenomena, you want the tablecloth talking to you, then yeah, go for it. But you won't awaken, and you'll get sent back and have to do nappies again. If spiritual theory is correct. What's the evidence? I don't know. I'm in this body right now. So in summary, yeah, it's powerful stuff. It comes up. You've got to be ready for it. Best way to prepare is correct presence practice and actually be properly awake, which will also develop your attention span. If these birds annoy you when these videos are going, that's feedback, eh? That's feedback. If you can't handle a bit of bird noise and all the distractions that happen, means your attention span needs to be developed. It's all feedback. Me doing these videos is feedback for me. It takes an inordinate amount of consciousness to get everything right. Stop them biting the phone, ripping things to pieces, making me bleed. You are being very patient. You answered me, aren't you? This is patience. Oops. The corral also helped. So, yeah. Kundalini is, you know, one of the things we all wish for. I hope if you have it, it's a pleasant one and that it doesn't create damage. Sinus operations are no fun, I can tell you. As a result of Kundalini, that's maybe what threw my system out. Maybe it was my karma, because, you know, you come in with karmic conditions and genetics and all that sort of stuff. Again, let's stick to evidence. I had Kundalini blocking that part of my face, and for whatever reason I ended up with this chronic condition that is in work in progress. But my awakenings after Kundalini were the real ones. I did, you know, during the correct presence practice process and going from phase 1 got it, lost it, into phase 2 non-abidance, which I was in 2 or 3 years before permanent abiding presence hit. But no more Kundalini. I'm sorry, I've probably disillusioned a few people by saying all of this, but stick to the evidence. And if you're going to chase it, find yourself a proper Kundalini master. I'm sure it will be very, very expensive as well. There may be a lot of austerity involved with it, and hanging out in ashrams for years at a time, eating nothing but lentils and bending yourself into funny shapes with pretty full-on routines. Hello, Tangles. So what do you want? If you want it, go for it. I don't recommend it. And I don't think it's really of much use. I have not met many people where it has been of any use. I really haven't. It's helped some people claim that they're enlightened and become teachers when they're not abiding in presence. Tangles. Come on, buddy. See, he's learning. He's no different to you. He's no different to me. We all learn a bit at a time. See, today's the first time he's ever eaten out of my hand, as well as, and then the hovering. Grace. Any questions about this? Well, you can call me up for a quick chat. Tangles, you little darling. Oh, that foot's terrible. He endured serious... Oh look, the little Corella's eating out of my hand. Hello, darling. More Grace. For a small bird, they certainly boss the cockatoos about, eh? Size doesn't matter. You going to come over, sweet? You going to come over? You going to come across? Come on, come across. He's thinking about it. Come on. Tangles, please. State change. So were you present through all of that? When life does anything, reaction, come back. And only one bird stayed conscious. Everybody else just went automatic fight, flight and vanished, which is the bad habit, eh? Fight, flight, unconscious reaction instead of... Yes, when you're a bird, it does pay to freak out with the rest of the flock in case there is a falcon coming in to take you out. But are you a bird? Are you a parrot? Huh? Are you a dog? Are you a herring in a flock? The school, sorry. Hello, honey. Is that you, Miss Brown? I think it is. Hello, honey. Took her 10 months to realise I was okay. She'd eat out of my hand and it took 10 months before she jumped on me. They're all different, just the same with you, you're different too, eh? So you might have Kundalini happen and you'll be okay. That means you can handle 5 megawatts. Go and watch the Phase 5 Plus video with the parrots, because there's some interesting bits in there. It's quite a different video. Again, I repeat everything, so I step you through all the phases and everything. But there's some interesting dynamics, especially with the birds, that illustrate stuff. So, see you there. I'm Jason at awakenessence.com.